Okay, for those of you returning, welcome back. And for those of you that are new here, that have just stumbled upon this video, then thank you for joining me. Here is my spoiler-free review of Captain America Brave New World, the 35th installment within the MCU. And for those of you that have been following me for a while now will know, I enjoy the Marvel movies, and there's very few that I'd say I love. But I do look forward to these films. They are enjoyable, and I've even liked a couple of the recent movies within the multiverse saga more than others, maybe. I mean, I wouldn't say I absolutely love them, and they're some of the greatest movies ever made, but they are movies that I enjoy, that I have a bit of fun with. And so Captain America, when it comes to the Captain America movies, Winter Soldier and Civil War, they are a couple of those movies within the MCU that I actually would say I love them. I think they are brilliant movies. They are brilliant stories, and they are movies within the MCU that I adore. And so I have been looking forward to the latest, the new Captain America Brave New World. This time with Sam Wilson, played by Anthony Mackie, and I liked how he brought this character to life in the TV show, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I mean, this was where, the TV show where Sam Wilson establishes himself as the new Captain America. I really enjoyed that show. So I've been really looking forward to checking this movie out. From sort of the trailers have been a bit of a mixed bag, like as it is with MCU movies. The CGI looks pretty like, a bit too CGI. But I kind of like the sort of the 90s political thriller sort of approach to what I was sort of sensing when it came to those trailers. So the synopsis: Captain America Brave New World follows Sam Wilson as he takes on the mantle of Captain America, finding himself at the center of an international incident involving Thaddeus Ross as the now President of the United States and a powerful new element called adamantium. Okay. This is going to be another one of those reviews now where you might, for those of you especially that have been following me now for a while and have watched a lot of my recent reviews, you're going to hear a lot of the stuff that I say in this review sound very familiar. And that is because we seem to be getting a lot of these movies now, and not just superhero movies, not just Marvel movies, but just sort of movies where the ingredients are there. The ideas are there to make what could be a very compelling, thrilling, entertaining movie that has a heart, an experience that just sort of wraps you up emotionally, gives, it's like entertaining. And unfortunately for me, Brave New World is another one of those movies that falls into that category. It is a movie where I did appreciate the movie for this. I will. This is not a movie that I hated. And it's a movie that I very much appreciated because I could see what it was they were attempting to do with its characters and its story. Unfortunately, it just doesn't really all come together. It's not cohesive in what it's trying to do with its characters and sort of the political aspect of its story, and it just ends up feeling very awkward and clunky. But like I said, I found myself having this appreciation for the movie. Like, I didn't once get bored. I was sort of always kind of engaged with the experience, but I was frustrated because all of these different pieces, all of the ingredients to create what could have been an effective thriller, one with a heart, because this movie does have a heart. The heart is there, but due to how these pieces come together, the fact that it is so clunky and awkward, it doesn't really fully come to life. And what Brave New World was for me was a very flat, sort of one-note experience with those kind of very small moments of hope, of what could have been. And I've said that now for quite a few movies recently over the last few months, and this, unfortunately for me, is another one of those experiences. When it comes to the action set pieces within the movie, it kind of reminded me a little bit of Sony's Marvel, universe without, the Spider-Man Sony universe without Spider-Man, whereas with Kraven the Hunter, you had these action set pieces, but they never felt like they really truly came to life, or they really sort of truly took off. There was no momentum there. There was no energy there. And I just think a lot of that, again, is just down to how Brave New World, in sort of how the story was constructed, how these moments were sort of brought to life, and how they were executed, whatever it be the direction, the use of the camera. It all just felt very awkward and clumsy. And a lot of it is just down to sort of how these moments sort of fit into the overall narrative. Because, this film, for me, just the entire structure of this movie was very awkward and clunky. And it's trying to do so many different things and sort of borrowing and sort of bringing sort of different elements from previous movies. But none of it sort of really came together and gelled to create one sort of cohesive whole. And so, yeah, the action moments within this movie, I think the only action scene that kind of really sort of stayed in my head, or sort of stayed with me, is the moment in the third act with, this is no spoiler, it's in the fucking trailers, and, this is one of those moments where I think they really should have just kept it a surprise, kept it a secret, because I think it would have really sort of added to the whole sort of the political sort of mystery aspect of its story. But yeah, Red Hulk, Harrison Ford as the Red Incredible Hulk. There's a moment, there's that kind of final showdown with Sam Wilson and the Red Hulk, and I enjoyed the moment, even though it was still quite awkward in its execution. I enjoyed it because it was one of those moments that kind of really sort of showed what it was, or that they were hoping or attempting to do with these characters within this story. It was a moment that very, very slightly plucked on those heartstrings. Very, very slightly. And that's only because I could see what they were doing with the character Thaddeus Ross, and sort of, having this person sort of be at a certain point in his life, having maybe regrets, wanting to sort of reconnect with his daughter, and, again, kind of real, very human themes, but all sort of gets lost. But that's the only reason why that kind of moment, that sort of action set piece sort of stayed with me, because of how that action set piece evolves, and you get this moment with the Red Hulk and these cherry blossoms, and just, like, I'm trying not to say too much because this is a spoiler-free review, but it's a very nice, sweet, tender moment, and it sort of shows us it's a glimpse into what could have been for me personally. And as a result of this entire experience being so incoherent and just messy, sort of, and awkward and clumsy in how everything comes together, there are certain moments that could have been very suspenseful and just full of tension. And again, it's kind of there, but doesn't fully come to life. Like, there's this moment where you've got America and Japan and Celestial Island, and that's all I'm gonna say. And you've got these tensions that are rising, and it's a moment that should have been thrilling. It should have had tension and suspense, but it lacked all of that. It's a lot of noise on the screen and things happening, and you even get this moment with Harrison Ford's character where he's on the phone, and this probably could have been the moment where we are first revealed to something not being quite right with this character, instead of just, it being announced in the marketing. But it's also a moment that sort of just kind of really showed what could have been when it came to this film. One of the aspects of this movie that kind of let me down, and it was one of those sort of, one of the obvious aspects that I was looking forward to, because I liked what he did in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and that is Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson. I liked what he did with his character in the TV show. And when it comes to this movie, I don't know whether it was a lack of direction or the writing or just sort of all kind of the drama maybe that was going on behind the scenes. Like, I can't really say too much about that because I haven't really read into it. I don't know. But there was just... his character, his performance in this movie kind of really lacked charisma, lacked charm. I couldn't really I just couldn't get behind the character, and it's because in part of how Anthony Mackie was bringing the character to life, and it felt quite dull, it felt quite flat, and maybe it's because in part the character of Captain America felt like an overextended cameo in his own movie. And a lot of that is just down to a lot of these different elements that is, when it comes to its story, at the same time, I actually quite liked what they were doing in sort of how it was kind of wrapping up certain character stories from movies like The Incredible Hulk. But at the same time, it sort of resulted in Captain America kind of feeling sidelined a little bit. And maybe that kind of played into sort of how I was feeling towards Sam Wilson in this film, and sort of Anthony Mackie's performance as his character. I don't know. But overall, as a result of sort of all these kind of issues that I was having with this movie and how I felt about this film, it kind of felt like it lacked a confidence. Like maybe they had an original sort of idea or story where they really wanted to go with this, and it kind of felt like that was changing as the film progressed, and you could kind of sense it. And so, it doesn't have one focus, and that's a big issue that I had with the movie. Is you've got a lot of these sort of ideas and aspects when it comes to the story that I found myself really liking and appreciating, but it lacked a focus to create what could have been just one cohesive, entertaining thrill ride. And so it does lead me to believe, it does, the film, I could kind of sense it. It just felt very uncomfortable or not quite confident with what it was that maybe it had set out originally to achieve, and that kind of resulted in what we ended up getting, which, it's not a terrible film. This is not a movie that I hated, but it's not a great one either. It was just very okay, and I maybe enjoyed it more than others because I appreciated what it was that they were attempting to do, and there were moments that I liked. The strongest element within this movie for me, the one thing that I found myself really admiring, because it also showed what this experience could have been, and that is the score by Laura Cartman. It really sort of brings to life that sort of 90s thriller, political mystery aspect of its story, and it also fueled the frustration that I had for this experience. But it because it does sort of bring to life really what I felt like they were attempting to achieve with this movie. And it's a great score, and it just shows so much of what this film could have been. It's just how everything was sort of executed from every sort of level, and how it's all brought together. That's just how I felt, and as a result, it ends up being quite a bland, one-note experience, but one that I had appreciation for. The moment with in the street at the end in the third act with the cherry blossoms, and just how that moment played out. The CGI is ropey. It doesn't look particularly great from a sort of special effects perspective. At the same time, it kind of takes me back to sort of late 90s, early 2000s superhero movies as well. So there's a bit of a nostalgic element to it. But just what they do with the characters in that moment, it encapsulated what I felt like they sort of really had here when it comes to what could have been. And you've also got themes of self-doubt, doubting yourself. Are you actually good enough? When it comes to the character of Sam Wilson, there is just the ingredients are there to have created something truly compelling, and I was intrigued. And that's why I was always engaged with this experience. I was always intrigued because I could see what it was they were attempting to do with these characters. You know, I could relate to the character of Sam Wilson, and where, you know, you're always doubting yourself, like, am I good enough to be doing this? And this is something that is there, but truly sort of comes to life in a way that sort of wraps you up emotionally. So yeah, Captain America Brave New World for me. Once you dig past the incoherent mess, there is something truly compelling here. A story that has characters that we can relate to, that we can get emotionally behind and actually care. But it's because of the lack of focus and how all of these ingredients and pieces of the story come together just result in a very incoherent sort of experience that lacks confidence in itself and just ends up feeling very one note and bland. But I did have a really big appreciation for what it was they were attempting to do. But this is no Winter Soldier, and it just needed more focus. I think it's great that there are a lot of fans, there are a lot of people out there that are enjoying this movie a hell of a lot. I think that's great, but unfortunately for me personally, there's a lot that I liked. There's moments that I could see the potential in. You know, the potential was there to create something very effective. In many ways, I also feel like it was afraid to take certain risks with its story and certain characters. And I just wish it kind of lent more into that in sort of regards to kind of reflecting modern times when it comes to sort of the political landscape and all of that. I think it could have just really kind of lent more into that, maybe. I mean, that's what movies do at the end of the day. They always reflect where we are as a society in, you know, whatever era that we're in. The James Bond movies have always been good examples of that. So yeah, look, enough of rambling on from me. They are my thoughts on Captain America Brave New World, and I will be giving Brave New World a... So yeah, they're my thoughts on the latest Marvel movie within the MCU, Captain America Brave New World. But what did you guys think? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Do you agree or disagree with anything I've said? And please let me know in the comments below and let's get discussion going. And if you've made it this far into the video, then thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And if you want to watch future movie reviews from just some random Welsh geek rambling on, then please hit the subscribe button. It will mean an awful lot to me. My next review will be for The Monkey. I'm really looking forward to it. I've never read the short story which is based on, but I'm liking what I'm seeing when it comes to the trailers. And after Longlegs, which was also directed by Osgood Perkins, he's on my radar. I really liked what he did with that movie, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does here with The Monkey. It might end up being a early review because there is a scream unseen this Monday night, and I'm going to it, so I'm hoping it's The Monkey. And so if it is, you'll have a review up from me for The Monkey probably by Tuesday night, so fingers crossed. And yeah, I just want to say another massive thank you to everyone that's connected to the channel over the last few weeks, months, years. It means an awful lot, whether it be liking, subscribing. You know, I recently hit a milestone in subscribers, and I'm just looking forward to growing the channel and evolving. And sort of, yeah, I just really enjoy doing this, and I will always be overwhelmed by the fact that so many of you do want to follow just some random Welsh geek ramble on about film and TV. But if you are new here and you have managed to stick out me, you know, rambling on, then why not hit the subscribe button? And for those of you that haven't already, then hit the notification bell. So if you want to sort of know when my next video goes live, you'll know straight away. So yeah, enough rambling. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll be catching you guys soon.